Yeah.
So
So
let's get rolling. So today we are talking about winning with smart teams and leadership, which I actually love this topic because there's so many different ways of skinning a cat. And by the way, if you do that, you will actually go to jail for skinning cats. I don't think you can do that legally anymore. When I was a kid, it was what we did. We skinned a lot of cats back then, uh, and in fact, I still have a few of them hanging on my wall at my house right now. What the hell
that's
am I talking about?
bad.
Anyways,
We
so
did put a cat in the dryer once as a
yeah,
kid.
did you really?
Wasn't a good idea.
That's that's
Poof.
so wrong. The things we did when we
It
were
was like
kids, right?
poof. You know, I
Yeah, it
was like
sounds
8.
bloody. It
I don't
sounds
know. My
bloody.
neighbors, my
Um,
neighbors kid. I don't know.
yeah, those are the ones become serial killers later on. The ones that put cats in. Yeah. Just talk to the Menendez brothers. Anyways, where am I going with all this? All right, so let's. So the cool thing about our group here, like everybody runs teams or organizations a little bit differently. Like I have a different way that I run my group, and Ross does his thing. Craig, Gary, everybody does stuff a little bit different. Randy, so Craig, let's go ahead and start with you, and just kind of, how do you
I'll be
when we do
honest with
this?
you. I'd rather pass because I'm
Okay,
really here to learn this week. The way I've run my team in the past is the past. The way I kind of run it now, though, in real briefness, is anybody in my organization who is swimming to me, who wants to learn, who is taking the classes in EXP, who's taking the university stuff, who's calling me, who's making and doing the work. I do referrals with them. They're
cool.
not numbers aren't coming to me. I'm having them use their name. They're using the systems. They're working through the process. But the point in fact is that it's a referral situation that we're involved in, and I help them because it's a two-way street. Then I'm helping them swim and also learn to fish versus taking my fish. And at the same time, I didn't want to have a big organization. I am admitting my business model is changing because a lot of them need more than that. And it's more than me just being involved in a referral because they may not be doing the marketing afterwards. Those other items have a bigger value. So in I'm morphing to something new from what I am. But what I am is a referral team leader. I just refer and let them run and know that I'm watching them and helping them build their business. But now I am going to start building my nucleus again. So I don't have a lot to throw there, but I can tell you that three of the guys that I've been talking with, they kind of have three different tiers of what they do. If the agents do their own business, they're on X. It's usually an 80-20. If they get a team lead with inside, it's a six. I think it was a 60. It's a 60-40. And then if it's something that comes from the paid stuff, kind of like the Zillow stuff and all that, they get 47 and a half. They never cap because they're not going to do the deals to get to the icon, but they also never cap, but they cover the cost to create this stuff for the people. So a lot of them have three different ways that they collect and to the level of which the buyer's doing. That's just three models of three guys that are doing $100 million a year that I've been talking to in the past week and a half, who are EXP guys. So that's what I know so far. And
And
I'm
part of
open.
this, the cool thing about what we're doing with this call today is everybody here is going to learn something that's going to help their team now with how they do it by looking at it differently. One of the challenges we have in our industry, and some of you guys have heard me talk about this before, we live with blinders on, meaning we're told do this, do this, do this, and we do that, and that's the way we do it. And sometimes we're not open to other concepts. I find that with me teaching my new modern team model that I teach around the country right now. Some people are like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. I go, all right, well, I just did it this week again. So I know it works really well for me. I sold 20 homes a couple of years ago, working 100 hours the entire year. Kind of works. Because I'm all about freedom at 112 years old. Kim, being the 14-year-old of the group, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm the same way. Heck, it doesn't matter how old you are. The idea of actually being able to live a life rather than live a life to work all day, that's I know it's revolutionary for us salespeople, but it's pretty fun actually being able to go play golf and go on vacations and not do the stressed thing, which is what the team or what building out a team allows you to do, right? So that is the concept of building a team for a lot of agents is unclear. And that's the first step, that if you're a solo agent or if you are a team lead, or maybe you're a broker right now and it doesn't feel as comfortable as you hope, you're trying to figure out a different pathway. And most team leads or most agents that I've coached or that have invited me out to their areas, when you actually sit down with them, you say, well, where are you trying to take this? And they're already there. They were trying to take it to have a team, and they've reached that team and they don't know where to go from there. So when you're thinking about scaling, if you're already there, if you're trying to figure out how to do it, are you trying to grow profit? Are you trying to scale in terms of agent count? Are you trying to sell more homes? Yes, yes, yes. And right. Those are all questions that you're trying to do. The question, though, that I ask all the team leaders is, are you actually trying to help your agents, the team members? What are you doing for them? And every time I ask that, right, because we sit down and it's going to be this little coaching session for the team lead, and we sit down and they're telling me about their team and it's going, and then you ask them that and their eyes get big. It's like, what do you mean? I am helping them, giving them leads. No, I understand that, right? They're helping you by converting those leads and working the leads and helping you grow your business, volume, scale, all of that. But what are you doing for those agents? When I've had team leads switch that mindset from, I have more agents and I'm growing my group so that they can help me with my leads and our volume and we can scale bigger. And when they've switched that to, oh, well, I can actually help these agents grow and scale and grow out their own system. I kind of believe that's the goal. And maybe not for everybody, but at least here where I am in our business, being able to have team members that outgrow you in terms of sales and production and even maybe so big that they don't need to be on a team anymore, in my opinion, really should be the goal. So the goal is a system that you have put in place that allows you to bring people in that are sticking up their hand, that are willing to do the work, willing to learn and scale and grow. And then you give that to them, you encourage them, you help them, you stay on top of them to make sure they're being consistent until that becomes a habit. And then for the select few that choose, you have the system built so that it has an exit strategy for them so they can then go do the same thing. Most all of us, I think, are calling this the hybrid team because we've run bigger teams that are the structured team where everyone's on a 50-50 split. And, you come in and there's no exit. You don't leave unless you offboard from the team. I think the hybrid team is just a smarter way to go. It's more lucrative. You're able to offload the cost, the lead cost, the system fees, because the systems, they just rack up as you spend more and more and more on different sources and systems. You're able to offload that to the agent, and then they are obviously able to spend as much as they want and grow that in their own pace. And it allows them, again, when you're focused on them, it really allows them to grow and get and honestly to just build something way bigger than you'd ever expect, because a lot of the times that's what they want to do. But for most team leads, they're not asking those team members, what are your overall goals here? Just like a lot of the times coaches aren't asking the team leads where they're actually trying to take this team, other than more, which is great. But at one point you have to start developing a direction to give those agents somewhere to grow. In my opinion, and all of my stuff here is open to you guys and everybody on the call, I give everyone everything. If you want to use my dialer and you live in the same market I do, go for it. There's so many deals out there, you guys. There's so many contacts that we can make that you don't need to gatekeep or keep things hidden behind bars. In my opinion, you're able to be that agent or that team lead or that broker that is full of information, full of wealth, here just to help you. And that is the retention model, right? When you are the person that you can go to, that they know that you're not trying to hide or trick them or get them, they want to be part of that. They want to continue growing with you, and they want to continue growing their business alongside of you rather than underneath you, which I feel is the more traditional old school method. I always say for the team leads, keep in mind that you are the coach of the NFL team, right? You're the guy on the sidelines. You don't have to be the quarterback the whole time. Now, if you want to be the quarterback, do it. You can do that. But you can also be the coach and take one step back. And the thing is, the coaches make more money than the quarterbacks. So keep that in mind. The other thing about the hybrid team that I absolutely love is that it insulates you. If you are, in markets like mine here, down South Florida, we are tourist-based, second home-based. When the markets do shift, if you are a hybrid model, you've allowed your teams to not just be confined to one specific area. So, Georgia team's doing great, the Ohio team's doing great. And if the markets shift a little bit, your income is insulated because you have expanded more so than trying to niche even further down. Remember, you guys, this amazing part of this business is that you have multiple spokes, multiple income streams. And when you can really diversify, you're able to insulate yourself. And that just reduces the stress 100-fold, right? When you're able to go out, like I was saying, play golf, go on vacation, do the things that are living. Those are the things that we're actually doing and enjoying life. We're not working. The goal of life is not to work it away. So when you actually get out there and you start doing the things that you want to do in your life, and you've insulated, you've built those multiple income streams, you start relieving that stress, which then allows you to even build more, grow further, and become a better agent person and have a better life overall. And I do believe it is all formed from smart hybrid teams. So that's what I got. It's so valuable though. And if anyone has more questions on it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here to help.
Very cool. This is what I like about this. We're all going to have different answers here. Let's go to Ross, who runs 85,000 person team.
Nice. Well, I wish I had that many. I really don't, actually. It sounds awful. But working on growth is always an interesting deal. And piggybacking on what Cam said is like, it's ringing true. And everyone on this call can attest to why did we join EXP, right? Because the hybrid team, yes, I run the Stout team proper, but I had an independent brokerage for 10 years. Essentially, it was a team underneath a broker's license, right? The brokerage doesn't have any profit to it. It's just if the team's successful, you're making money. So I came over to EXP a year and a half ago. And like Cam was saying, in my old model and traditional models, and I'll just preface it by saying this, most team leaders right now are successful individual selling agents who've decided they want to take 10% off other people for nothing. That's their offering. Hey, I'm really good. You should come work with me and I'll take 10% from you. Why? Because I'm me. Like, right? Duh. And attrition, those people never really have a big team. They have 5 people that really think they're great. They outgrow it. They leave. It's a revolving door, no growth, no systems, no nothing except for this guy's making an extra 10% on 5 different people. So that's the traditional team model. And I feel like that's what most people are dealing with when they say, oh, I'm going to join a team. And then they have a bad experience because it doesn't help them. Like Cam's saying, it's about helping these agents. And in EXP, compared to my old brokerage, I got people up to making $450,000, $500,000 a year on my team in the small little desert. And what was there left for them to do after that? Like, do I keep staying on the team or do I branch off and do my own thing? So they'd have to leave my little independent brokerage, leave my team, because everyone's got an ego and everybody needs to fill their own cup. And I had no other offering except for this is my team and you're dumb for leaving it, right? Now, EXP, somebody starts making that kind of money with me. Fantastic. Why don't you start your own team? I'll help supplement your start with leads. Let's work together continually as you succeed. I want to succeed with you. This is the only place in the world where you can have that kind of collaborative effect and compound your income, compound that person's income and the next generation to come, all in the same spot, all winning at the same time. That is EXP. So sorry for the EXP pitch, but honestly, guys, the power and the growth, Cam, like you're talking about, you're in different states, phenomenal. I just branched out in the same state into different markets. And instead of making a third of what my normal income used to be at my old brokerage when the market's slow, I'm making COVID money because I'm diversified and I have avenues and systems for people to rinse and repeat and continue on. So, Craig mentioned the nucleus. I felt like Nacho Libre, like what's at the center of a man? His nucleus. And what's at the center of a team? It's the nucleus, right? So what are you offering your team, like Cam was saying, to grow? So if you were to join my team today, you'd have an opportunity to join a lead system-based team, a Realtor.com team, a Zillow team. What do you get if you become a top producer on my team? You get an AI tech stack. You're going to have an AI virtual assistant. You're going to have all these tools to help you grow, because what am I invested in? Your growth. I've sold 2 houses this year. I don't sell. I'm in the business of helping other people grow and shape them into leaders or excellent individual agents in the market. And if it has my brand name on it, great. I'm into people pitching their own brand under my umbrella. We all win. So that's kind of like the roadmap, is to find the systems that work, rinse and repeat it, right? You have to have great onboarding. I'm learning from my man, David Lawson, who's the master at this. You find the great onboarding, you have your tech pieces, you have your offering, you have your leads, and then you have your direct implementation. And that's when you can grow and scale, because those aren't market specific. Those foundations are real estate 101, and you can take that across the board. It's a broad brushstroke if you have the firm foundation, and then you grow on top of that per market. So if you are a team leader and you're having, like Cam said, having problems like essentially with a revolving door, with yeah, I have a team, what's next? There's so much opportunity out for you, and especially on this call, all these guys on here and gals, they know what's up. So keep looking towards that. And if you're just looking to make a little split off someone, that's the wrong motivation. You need to really get behind them, support them. And if you really have the agents in mind, that's where the magic is. So that's my rant for today. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I do every day. I love it. So thanks for choosing this topic, because it's really exciting.
Love it. So we were up to next. Great stuff, by the way, Ross. That's awesome. I could definitely not do what you do.
I want to say one thing too, is Ross has been able to grow, like he said, in that same state so quickly. It has been like his expansion and scaling has been something that I'm just like reveled by. It's amazing. So like what you're saying there, Ross, of being able to not only expand, locally, nationally, but you can also expand statewide, and you can do it quickly. Like, obviously you've been in the last couple of years. It's been awe-inspiring, honestly, like very cool.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
fun.
man.
Definitely fun to watch.
I'm still in year 1.5. So EXP has been such a boost. Dave,
let's go to Mr. Lawson, only because I know he's at the airport, and we'll go there. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. So sorry, I was going through TSA, and now they're saying to line up. I got to get in line, so I'm going to get off here in a minute. But I agree with what everybody said and Ross. And it's the collaboration, it's helping. But I can tell you that there's two ways to have a team. As Cam said, you can have a revolving door, or you can have a front door without a back door. Okay, we have 26 agents, I think, on our team, and we've lost one agent in the last 18 months. But they got fired as opposed to leaving. And why? It's because we offer systems and help. I just have this abundance mentality that if you help people, and I mean, I tell people all the time, if they want to join my team or my organization, is unless you're going to benefit at the end of the day, then unless at the end of the day, you're going to make more money, you're going to do more deals, you're going to have a better life, and you're going to have access to my systems and policies and everything I do, then join. And if you can do it on your own, don't. And so it's all about what you offer. And if you're offering very little, you're going to have people. I mean, most real estate offices and teams, they have a front door and a back door, and they're hiring 2 people this month because 2 people are going out the back door. And when I tell people that the average person on my team lasts years and years and years and years, they hardly ever leave. They don't believe me, but it's because of the attitude. If you really have the attitude, you're going to help people, then you'll win. There's a bunch more that I'd like to say on this, but I'm going to have to leave right now. But thanks. I'm going to try to listen in. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
see you tonight, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And by the way, talking about collaboration, you know why I'm getting on the airport or the airplane? Because I'm flying from Park City to San Diego to go to Ross and Diane and Matt's new office in Del Mar. I have 2 agents that are going to show up. And one of the agents, if I told, I can't tell you who it is, but it's somebody that you would be blown away that is going to come. And it's because I'm helping them. They're helping me. We're sharing our systems. And maybe in a month or so, we're going to, or 6 weeks, Ross and Diane and Matt and I are going to have a little bit of something to share with you. Sorry, Ross, if I a little preliminary and what's going
Love
on.
the teaser. Love the teaser.
Yeah, that's right. So enjoy, everybody. But remember, there's people that are going to buy and sell real estate today. Get in front of them and get in the deal, and better yet, get on both sides of the deal, if you ask me. So I'll leave everybody with that. I can't wait to hear from Corinne and Mike. Look at her. She's just raring to go. You're so awesome. I mean, everybody's awesome, but you guys, there's different levels of awesome. So, Karina.
You know I love you,
Okay,
David,
bye.
and I'll give you 50 later for saying it.
All right, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man. Let's go over to where'd Gary go? Gary, did you leave? Oh, there you are. You're right in the middle of my screen. Hi, Gary. Go ahead, Gary. Tell us what you got going on.
Good morning. All right. I dropped a question in the chat because I'm just curious how many people that are on the call are either a team leader, on a team, or looking to create a team, just to know who we're talking to and just so the information is relevant. But I had 6 quick things that I wanted to share, just tactical tactical solutions, things to consider to implement that I want to go into. So hopefully you all get some value out of that. So to start, the one thing that I would share with everybody when you're starting a team is to really understand why you start a team, what your goal is, where you want to go with it and with that team. I think we've all kind of touched on it a little bit, but we've seen the team models happen in many different ways. A lot of them aren't successful. And I've seen a lot of people just add or just start building a team just because they think it's the right thing to do, but without understanding what they really want out of it, it ends up not working out in their favor. I've changed my team model a couple of times in my 20 years in real estate, and so just for various reasons, right? But again, I think it's really important when you do start a team to define what your goals are, and that might evolve over time, right? But understanding where your direction is. So last week, just to start off with this, last week we talked about emotional intelligence, right? And we're talking about smart teams. It's really important for yourself as a leader to understand your own, IQ, if you will, or EQ, as we were talking about. So, as a leader, you should be taking, DISC tests or some sort of like emotional intelligence or what's it called? Not behavioral, but personality type tests. And also everybody on your team, you should administer those to them as well. And also go over this at least once a year, because again, people do change. So understanding the communication styles between A, yourself, and B, your team can really help the communication and the growth over that time. Also being able to have at least quarterly, if not, monthly one-on-ones. One thing you can ask as a team leader of your team is, what's one thing that I do that helps you perform best? And what's one thing I can do to improve as a leader on every single one-on-one call, just so you can keep that communication going and you can keep growing as as a leader yourself. Number 2, are you delegating or dumping? There's a lot of things that hold growth back, right? So understanding where you can actually intelligently delegate versus just dumping things off on people on your team, so they don't everybody has their role, right? And being able to delegate appropriately will make sure people don't feel like they're just doing all of your work and and not getting anything for it. Hiring smart versus filling seats. So we've all kind of touched on this within this discussion already. Again, I think smart teams don't have to be very large teams. Everybody should have a seat or should play a position. Whether you have a basketball team, a football team, or like a mega organization, there should be a role in a real seat for everybody that has production. When there's 2 people doing the same thing, one of them is irrelevant. So it's important to make sure that everybody understands their role and it's clear to move forward. Otherwise, you have a lot of roadblocks. Also, culture within a team is really important. I think that that's decided, by the team leader at the very core, beginning. And then that needs to be reinforced throughout the entire team, making sure everybody's on the same page. Because I do know from experience, when you get kind of a confusion in the culture, or there's, something that's happening in your team, whether it's with one person or there's not clarity, it can really erode the team from the whole inside out, and it's not pretty over time. So tracking and measuring, having a vision or, a scoreboard where everybody's tracking their results, you can celebrate that. That's part of the culture, but also understanding the progress of the team and the efficiency of it. And it does help people understand their place in it. This should be communicated and reviewed at least every single week, whether it's in a team meeting. And again, that's like appointments set, listings taken, contracts written, or whatever sort of goals that you're measuring. Number 5, feedback, right? So this is also part of the culture, but being able to offer your team some sort of, anonymous, whether it's a type form or some sort of, I think we use, forgetting the name of the form right now. I'll remember that in just a second. But again, some sort of communication where people can communicate productively, and you have to be open as a team leader to take, I want to say either criticism or feedback in a positive way, so you can implement changes. Maybe, we talked about blinders and blind spots. Sometimes we're not seeing things that may be happening in the culture or the direction of the team. That again, if we're taking that feedback appropriately, it can help us all grow. One tool to use it's called a start, stop, and continue feedback roundtable. What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? And what should I continue doing? And I think everybody on the team, it's relevant for them to fill that out and be able to provide that feedback. Okay, and the last part, we've each kind of touched on this already, is, are you building leaders or followers, right? In my own opinion, my approach to the team, I started a team because I wanted to help others. Yes, we use teams or build teams for leverage, right? For, I don't want to say companionship, but really to have the internal support to help everybody grow together, and the accountability. But, being able to help build leaders, people are going to see that, gravitate towards you, because again, you want them to grow, to expand, to leave the team, to start their team, not just, be kind of trapped inside of, an organization for a long time with no way out, because again, they don't see the goals, the growth, and then it tends to have people, not be as motivated or productive. So I think there's got to be a longer term plan, and in a sense that they're learning from you as a team leader, and there's a side of what you're trying to help them accomplish later on in life. Again, they've got to figure out their own goals as well, but helping to build that. So that's all I got. I wanted to go over those points, really quickly. There's tools and tactics underneath each of that I'm happy to share with anybody who's looking for it. So that's it. Any questions?
I think maybe we'll have a class in the next couple of weeks. I think it'd be kind of cool to have to build a team, what type of tools should you have, right? And I think it'd be a really good class for all of us. Let's go over to Randy. Randy,
hold on, Dave, Mitch, I want to add something there.
Yeah,
Gary, thank you for bringing something up that's very important. We, as team leaders ourselves, have expectations for ourselves, or our personality that we've learned through our DISC. And by the way, you can take that DISC test for free in my EXP link, whatever that is, where it has all your information. So you can take that. It's a free test in there. But Gary, you mentioned something. All of us are different personalities in what we want to do and where we want to go and what our why is. Our challenge is that we want everybody to be like us, but everybody else has their own why. If we figure out what each person's why is and help them get it to their level, it might be 10 houses in 1 year for somebody. My response is do it in 1 month. Why make pain for a whole year? Take 11 months off. You know what I mean? So that was an important thing you said, and I wanted to reiterate it, that not everybody's expectations are what ours. Learn what they are, know where they're going, and help them get there. And then if they want to make it more, great. If not, let them stay there. As there's a great book, it's called Let Them. Let Them by Mel Robbins. We've talked about it. Thank you, Gary, for bringing that up.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg.
All right, Randy.
Yeah, that's a good transition to what I was going to say, because that's, I used to run a brokerage, and I wasn't necessarily the one generating leads. I didn't have a Zillow Flex account. That was not my structure. But at the end of the day, I was responsible, right, of leading the team, providing the tools and the resources. So a lot of my time went to that at that point, right, of running a brokerage and providing everything I could financially, right, within reason to, have agents be as successful as they can be as really independent agents, right? When we transitioned over to EXP, my model, technically changed because I was able to grow the organization nationwide through, strategic partnerships, but I didn't have to then rely on myself to provide all the tools and the resources. So I think some of the things you got to consider as a team leader are, because I speak to sometimes team leaders are like, oh, I'm going to open up my brokerage, and I just shine the light on like, well, here's what you have to now add to your responsibilities, right? So do you want all those things, or do you want to maintain being a team leader under somebody else's umbrella who provides all those tools and resources so you can really focus on leading your team and lead gen opportunities? So those are very different journeys, right? Both could work. I do think the brokerage model, as an independent is very tough right now in today's environment. Now, I chose the path of, even when I moved the brokerage over, is I only have one agent on my personal team. So any personal leads I get, in order for me to be flexible, like Cameron mentioned, right? Enjoy life, travel, be able to live anywhere you want. I have a team member that is on my personal team. So every transaction that I do is with her 50-50. That's my partnership agreement. And I'm willing to give up 6 figures for freedom, right? And that's fine. That's what I chose to do. Not everybody will choose that route, right? I don't have any other team members on my personal team. The rest of the agents that I have in Southern California, they're independent agents. And I always ask when I bring them on, kind of to Craig's point, what is your goal? What do you envision yourself doing? Because I talk to agents that are all types. I talk to agents that are investors only. They have a license to enhance their investing business. So there's no reason for me to talk about traditional lead gen for now. And all of those trainings that we get access to, that will cloud their brain with information they don't need. Then I get an agent that is an experienced agent and they want to get into investing. So then I talk about how do we leverage one for the other, right? So both can grow, right? But then I talk to an agent like yesterday who's a traditional agent and has 2 agents underneath him. That's a very different conversation, and asking them questions. Well, where are you going? How can I help you? And to add to it, they're all over the country, right? So now I'm like, okay, how can I help them get to their goal based on what they just shared with me, with the tools and resources I have available to me? And I think that's a key point here as a team leader. You need to understand your deck of opportunities. What do you have available at your fingertips within the brokerage you're a part of? I know what I have available at EXP, and I'm on the front lines always wanting to learn, what's the new thing that has been added to my deck, right? That I could now share with an agent that I'm speaking next time on a call or Zoom. Well, guess what just happened? Most of you know, in May, co-sponsoring. It's been the biggest game changer, in my opinion, for at least, me, and I know many others, where my brain just expanded to levels I've never even imagined, and how I can even help the agents even further that are coming on board going forward. So now co-sponsoring is obvious, is if I'm speaking to a traditional agent who's not some big team leader, they maybe closed 3-4 transactions, or maybe they are new and they're not in my particular market of Southern California, my brain automatically goes to co-sponsoring. Why? Because I know that they'll probably succeed the best. Let's mute David. I know that their success rate will quadruple if I can take them and connect them with someone like Ross, connect them with someone like David, connect them to the teams that have the structure that I don't, where they already have the accountability, they already have the and they are operating it at a very high level. Why am I going to now reinvent the wheel all of a sudden if that was never my desire? So now it's just been such a game changer where I can literally take a new agent, talk to them, get them excited about everything EXP offers. And then I'm like, by the way, here's a cherry on top. I'm going to connect you with someone, right? Because I'm speaking to someone literally as we speak. You know, I just did this in Chicago. Team them. We are main sponsors of him, and we both get to benefit together and help them. Huge weight is lifted off my shoulders because I'm not necessarily responsible for his local success. Now I will contribute, but really he's going to reap the benefits of that local team leader producer. And it's really because of co-sponsoring that I'm able to do that. So if you haven't heard about it, please learn about it. If your brokerage doesn't have something like this, that doesn't mean you can't create something yourself and create a partnership with other big team leaders in that market, ideally within your own brand, right? Whatever it is, if it's KW or Century 21. But for us, it's so easy to do now with EXP. And I can't thank Glenn enough for adding that because it really just transformed the way I look at placing agents in the best position to help them succeed.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a class on co-sponsoring because I think it's to me, it's game changing for all of us. I've got 3 or 4 of them in process right now. It's very cool. Look at Mr. Middleton decided to join us. What an awesome thing. Where are we going to? Karina. Yeah, our representation of the female on our event is actually smarter than all of us. Yes.
Just kidding. I have to be prepared with you guys.
Yes.
Thanks, Mitch. So, I think it was who said it best. I think it was Gary who said you had to really know what you wanted to do when you were going to start your team. Was that you, Gary? Okay, great. So that was me a couple years ago when I decided to finally create a team. People wanted me to create a team for years, and I had really no interest in it. And then finally, I was like, EXP makes sense to have a team. But what do I want my team to look like? And I went through this big year-long process before I made that final jump in. So when you talk about really making sure you know what you want and knowing your disc, I'm a high D, high I. So I know I need things certain ways in my team. And when it really came down to it was, I didn't want to sell leads. So kind of like my friend Randy here, he's kind of just got one girl that's working with him. I didn't want to sell leads because I felt like there's so many people that end up on teams that buy these leads. They're making at the end of the day, less than a half a point, and they're pissed off. And I didn't want that to be representative of me, right? Because I wouldn't want to do that. So I started thinking about it more, and I really decided I wanted to teach agents on my team who joined me how to fish for themselves. That was my goal. And so I started off by collecting a bunch of newbies, thinking that was the way. My hair's naturally blonde, but it was going to go gray, really. So I now after the first year, I was like, okay, no more. If it's a newbie, they're going to have a big sales background, right? Because there's always an exception to every rule. But I really wanted to take an agent that maybe was at $2 or $4 million a year and turn them into a $10 million agent or 15, but that's not my decision. I'm a woman, right? So, and I went to college and graduated with a communication arts major. No woman should ever be allowed to get that major because we come out of the womb talking, right? So that being said, I am a high communicator, right? But I don't chase my agents down. They have to reach out to me because there's one of me and there's a bunch of them, right? And they're all over the place. So, but when the local ones, we have our team meetings once a month at my house. We turn my dining room into a boardroom. So we have privacy and we can, if it takes 2 hours or 4 hours or 1 hour, we're not rushed out of a boardroom somewhere. So it's a very intimate, easy thing. And then they get the training that they need from me. And a lot of them want to know my secrets so I can show them all my secrets. We literally do role plays and I've walked them through my entire listing presentation in my house. So they know how I do it, and then they can make it their own or whatever. But they get a lot of support. I have a full-time assistant, TC. If I'm not available to help someone, she can jump in and help. So we have enough help for them. And it's really communication. And the ones that decide not to call up or ask for help, then that's on them. I'm not going to chase them. It's up to them to be responsible for their own business. As one of my agents told me early on owning my team or starting my team, was that she goes, they're their own boss. Like, you can't force them to do anything. I'm like, you're absolutely right. So I really helped. It's mindset, right? But the other part of it was when I was deciding to be a team and knowing that we were in this amazing company called EXP that's in 28 countries, over 90,000 agents. We're the biggest gorilla in the playing field, right? Which is a big deal for us. I wanted to make sure that my team name, for a few reasons, I have sold business brokerage, I do commercial, I do residential. So I wanted to make sure, A, my team name could be sold, and nobody's going to want to buy a Karina Daninger if they're John Smith, right? Also on that note, and just being real, because I've sold international software, so I know not every man wants to go under a female's name. I didn't want that to be a hindrance for anybody, whether they were in another country or they were here in America or whatever. I wanted it to be a name that was going to be very welcoming for residential, commercial, someone in the commercial world selling business brokerage. So it took me a long time to come up with that name. I was paying people $200 if they came up with my team name. And finally, a girl came up with it, and we became the Lotus Group. And the Lotus Group is great for going international, local, commercial. It has a very good ring to it. So when you're picking your team name, think about what you want your end result to be with your team, but also what happens when you want to retire someday. Like, I don't want to retire, as Mitch says, like at my funeral, and I am getting older. So I want to make sure that at some point, if I'm, at the point in my life where I don't want to sell real estate anymore, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if it is, I wanted my team name to be sellable, right? So that was also part of my putting my team together. And we have a great synergy in our team. I do, people can call me, and if I'm not with a customer or with another agent, they get my time. So I make sure that I'm available for them as well, which I think is very important. But I'm going to leave you on this. I've been in leadership roles since I was in high school. So I'm going to say, I feel like the best leaders, the definition of a great leader, not best, but the greatest leaders are people that want to push their people up to be better leaders than themselves. And that is what I look for on my team.
Awesome. I think I can tell you that that's a true statement from you. I know you do that all the time. Unlike myself, who just wants to hold everybody down. No, I'm kidding.
No, no, because we're the same match, so you can't say that.
No, I know. Let's go. Yeah, Karina and I have determined that we are exactly the same, except she has better hair than I do.
Yeah.
But no, we're exactly the same.
And
let's go to Brian.
You do not, or we got to call Jeanette.
That's right. Brian, what you got, bud?
Karina, thank you. You touched on two things that I'm a big fan of. One of them is our role is to raise and release. It's not to raise and keep, right? So if you're able to bring on a team or a person onto your team, their goal isn't to be with you. Their goal is to be you. They want to be a team leader themselves, and you have to feed into that, knowing that once you raise them up and release them, then they're either going to be a big fan of yours or they're going to leave because they weren't a big fan of yours, right? So the goal of a leader really would be to help them fish, teach them how to fish, knowing that when you're teaching them, you're going to expand at the same time. And it's a good quality of a leader. So if you can raise and release with that mindset, Ross has a pretty significant size buyer team covering what now, 200 plus agents, Ross? 100? Okay, 100. There's a few other leaders in those 100 that are going to be released out into the environment. Their goal is going to be to duplicate, right? Because they're getting a lot of wisdom in the system. So I've been part of good teams, been raised up some really good teams, But here's what I know, that the newer agents, or some of these agents that are on here today that are either not on a team or they are their own team, the only way you can become an expert is to realize that every one of us were beginners. And so to get to become an expert, you got to operate as an expert. You got to adopt the mentality and the mindset of being an expert from the very beginning. And the way you practice that is you listen to the questions that are being asked of you. And most of us will answer all the questions because we're experts. But a newer person who receives questions that they're not comfortable answering yet, the only way they can learn them is to leverage the team concept. So you are a team. Your team may consist of no other realtors, but it consists of an escrow officer, a title officer, a home inspector, a mortgage person. They are your team. So when you hear a question, the objection handling skill set that you're lacking comes from learning how to not answer anything, but to build trust with the person asking you by saying, that is a great question. That is a great question. And I'm going to run that by my team, right? They're not going to not want to work with you because you didn't answer it on the spot. Matter of fact, they're going to appreciate the fact that you leveraged a team to get them the correct answer. So that's a great question for my title rep. That's a really good question, not for the rep, but the title officer. That's a really good question for the underwriter. What else would you want me to ask the underwriter when I go talk to them? Because I want to confirm what you're asking me, because our role as the real estate agent is to direct our clients or direct the other team who we're working with on the other side to get the proper information. And when you do that, like Karina said, you're not fishing for them. I don't want to fish. All of our agents who were under our leadership with Randy, if their deal was on fire, their team, their direct instructions from me were to call Car Legal and run it by Car Legal, and then call me and teach me what they learned by asking the legal people. I wanted to teach them, don't come to Brian to put out all the fires because I'm busy. So as a team leader, if you can understand the directions of the leadership and understand that all newer agents need direction, but they don't know how to find it. But going back to what Karina was saying, just realize that if you're raising leaders and you're raising top producers on your team, what we have the ability to do with our brokerage is to raise up leaders, release them, and bless them, because guess what? They're still in our organization. I want them to be fruitful and multiply. So when Pete left California, went to Tennessee and started another team, Pete can duplicate himself now in Texas and not have to be in Texas to duplicate his team and benefit from everything that he's done. So raise and release in a way that you teach them how to fish, you bless them and champion them out so they go duplicate you in another environment. That's what I got.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, Peter.
Yes, Mitchie.
Yeah. So yes, Mitchie. I like when you say yes, Mitchie. It makes me feel so 8 years old.
Yeah.
So talk about it. So you're running two teams, one in Tennessee, and one in California. So talk a little bit about creating a winning strategy with that.
Well, the first strategy that I didn't copy that you have was to run a team where everybody has no hair, right? I had to make sure I was hiring people who have the look that I want. I know your whole team is very streamlined because there's no, it's very aerodynamic.
Yes, even the women have to shave their heads.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important when you're putting a team together or trying to develop a team, and I've developed a lot of teams over the years, and understand what direction you want to go in. Number one, I think that's one of the most challenging things that most people have. Really understand their why. What are the 5 things you really want to accomplish? And I think that's important when you are bringing people on. You want to make sure that they're the right fit, that they have the right energy, the right positive mindset, and that they want to work for it and that they're proactive, because they have to meet you halfway. If they don't meet you halfway, it's never going to work. You can't be the person that is the rainmaker and doing everything and providing to them and teaching them, and they're not putting in their effort or doing their part. I think that's the key point I want to get across is people proactively have to take action and play a role and see where their role is. They're not going to be with you forever, and that's fine. You know, I like what Brian had to say on that. You know, it's kind of train and release in some ways. I've had some team members who have been with me for a long time, and I'm super grateful about that. I mean, there's a lot of loyalty there, but I'm constantly trying to figure out what can I provide to them of value that will help them grow in their business and in their life. I mean, that's really the most important thing. You can only motivate and teach so much. I mean, at some point, it has to take on a life where the other person is committed to it, and they're putting in their own energy, right? And I think if that's not happening, it's challenging. We're in a challenging time right now when it comes to teams. That's what I'm seeing, because the dynamic of real estate is really changing vastly with AI and technology. And it really comes down to who's trying to improve and really get to a certain level. I mean, you can shout from the mountaintops to do the basics well and know how to overcome objections and practice scripts and do open houses and stay in contact with your past clients. I mean, we all know that's the foundation of this game. But also you have to show up, and you have to be in the right mindset and the right energy. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how great of a leader you are or a teacher or a trainer. It's just not going to take. And, you know, that's my 2 cents on leadership and teams. You have to have like-minded people. It's really important.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I'm going to totally not agree with anybody here. And this is what I love about this, because we all have our different ways of running a business, right? So I've done it all. I sold 1,300 plus homes. I had a team of 6. I opened a brokerage with 120 agents, and now we have about 2,100 agents in our group here, right? So when I turned 60, and some of my friends on the panel here have heard this story, but I want you guys to hear this because it's important. I look back at my life, and I couldn't tell you 5 things I did with my kids. And I can tell you, even though I lost $82 million in 2000, which was financially devastating, it doesn't hurt as much as knowing I can't tell you 5 things that I did with my kids. So I've looked at the business model a little bit different. And I want you to think, I'm going to talk to you as an agent, and completely different. So first of all, from a team perspective, if you've done 3 or 4 or 5 transactions, you should never do contract to close ever again. Right? That's very time consuming. Pay the $350, $400, whatever it is that it costs to have someone do the contract to close, because you have to decide, do you want to build an ego business, an income business, or a freedom business? What I know now, unfortunately, after 24 years of doing this business and the pain that I've been through of knowing that I haven't seen my kids grow up, but I'm an entrepreneur, so I've worked 100 hours a week since I was 19. So when I restructured the team model with my modern team, which I guess some of you guys will hear that, I'm going to put a link to my book in the actually I'll do that now over here in the chat. Oops, I didn't do it. I lost the link. I'll get it out to everybody. But anyways, I said, well, how do I build a team where nobody's actually relying on me? Because the challenge with all the team models that were discussed today, people are relying on you, and that doesn't build your freedom. And by the way, this is generalized. There's some teams that are killing it, making a lot of money. But I talk to team leaders and brokers every day. And I would say 95% of them are not making any money. 95% of them are working 100 hours a week, and 95% of them are miserable. That's my experience. And I'm talking about, I bet you I talked in the last 12 months, I've talked to 150 team leaders or brokers easily. So when I came up with my new modern team, it goes kind of like this. I'm the team leader. I'm going to generate business, right? My job is to make money for my family. That's what a business is for. Do I impact people? Yes. Everybody on this call knows that I will be there in a heartbeat to help anybody grow their business however they want to grow it, because everybody's different, and that's my contribution to the world, right? And I will do that for anybody, and I don't even charge. I mean, I only get $1,500 an hour, but I haven't charged anybody in 3 years because I keep just, I'll help you. But when I looked at the team model, I think it's broken. And I'll tell you why, 'cause it doesn't produce freedom. So team model that I came up with, and by the way, I'm not the first person to come up with this model, but it creates freedom. And I'll give you an example. In 2020 or 2021, I sold like 25 homes. I worked 100 hours that year. I had a buyer come into town recently. I'll give you this going on right now. I wrote a contract on Monday. Well, I didn't write the contract. So I put an email out to my local agents. I had a buyer wanted to look at 10 houses on Sunday, which is Mother's Day, but that's okay. I put an email. I had 8 agents reach out to me within 15 minutes saying they would do it. I pay agents $25 a house to go show property for me. Now, again, if you're in a California market, it's $50 or $75 a house. It's all market related. They went out and did that. I reached out to the customer after, hey, how'd it go? Right. My total time so far in this conversation has been 15 minutes, by the way. I found the houses for the agent to look at. I then called Pat. We all know Pat, my partner GM. She wrote the offer. Right. I got on the phone, 5 minutes, negotiated the offer. Now, this is a friend of mine's daughter, so I'm going to go to the inspection tomorrow for 2 hours. Normally, I wouldn't. I paid that same agent $50 to go to that inspection and $50 to go to the closing. Right. My total time is about 30 to 45 minutes. I'm going to make $8,000. Right. I know that's not California money, Pete. But I'm going to make $8,000. Total commission is just under $10,000, $9,600. I'm only paying out $1,200 because my business is to feed my family and take care of my family. Now, again, that's a separate issue from me helping people grow their businesses and all that stuff, which I do every day. I coach every day. But I wanted to build a model where I created freedom. And how can I teach? And so I'm teaching people now how to sell 50 to 100 homes a year, working 25, 30 hours a week. That's how you run a business to me. But if you're just an agent right now and you want to do something different, you need to hire a TC right away. You should not be doing contract to close. It's a time suck. And then one more thing before we hang up, we got about another minute here. And Craig touched on it really quickly. My dad came down from the heavens 20 years after he died and said to me, your expectations are not their expectations. And what I've learned is all of your disappointments in your life are based on your expectations of others. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because it's a really cool story. But if you look at your life right now and you're disappointed with somebody, that's on you. They weren't expecting to be that way. You expected them to be that way. I deal with that with friendships because I have friendships. I'm like, oh, why do they call me? Well, they're not phone people. I expect them to be phone people, right? Why don't they do this? Like my wife, I love my wife to death, but do anything in the world for her. Don't expect anything from her. Well, a few things, but I don't expect too much from my wife. My kids, I expect nothing, right? My friendships, I expect nothing. The only expectations I can control are my own expectations. And so I have huge expectations for me in impacting as many people as I can before I drop dead on this planet. And that's what I live my life for. But that's my expectation of myself. I can't have any expectations of Pete or Kim or Roz or Karina, anybody. So get rid of all of your expectations of others, and you find you will get rid of most of your disappointments in your life. So 1 o'clock, we'll see you guys all next week.